are talking today mostly about subtracting rational equations. It's a C there. Okay, so we've already talked about addition. Okay, so what's the first thing we have to do when we're adding rational equations? Common denominator. So that would be the first thing that you would write there. Okay, and in that, if you're looking at polynomials in the denominator, you're going to want to factor them so that you can find your common denominator. Okay? So there's two things that we can do from here. We can either add them together or we can subtract them. Okay? So far we've talked about adding. When we're adding them together, we are actually combining like terms in the numerator, in the numerator. Let's see if I can spell this right now. Okay, so combining like terms in the numerator. Okay? When we're subtracting, what we're going to do is you'll notice that there's a minus sign in front of a term. No. The denominator will stay the same no matter what. It's the numerators that change. Okay? So, but talking about subtraction, if you have a minus sign, you are going to change all the signs, first of all, in the numerator of the term that's being subtracted. Only that term. Once you've changed all your signs, then you're going to do the same thing you did with the addition. So a really easy example of this is number 2 on your sheet. And it looks like this. You have 3x minus 11 over 2 minus 3x plus 11 over 2. On this one, we have a minus sign right here. What I'm going to have you guys do is change that to a plus sign. And then all of these signs change. So this becomes a negative 3x. This becomes a negative 11. Now I can combine my like terms in the numerator. My denominator will stay a 2. So 3x minus 3x, what happens to those? Yep, they cancel out. It becomes a 0. Negative 11 plus a negative 11. Negative 22. Which becomes a negative 11. All right, so here's our problem here. We have trinomials on the bottom of both of these fractions, and we also have a minus sign. So the very first thing I want to do before I go anywhere on this is change my minus sign to a plus sign, and then change my signs in my numerator for this part of the term. Change that to a negative. Change this to a positive. Okay, first step. Now, we're going to do it just like we did with all the addition ones from yesterday. So first of all, I need to find my factors here. And to do that, I'm going to go down here to the bottom and do the box method to factor that out. So my n squared goes here in the top left corner. So n squared goes here. The last term goes in the bottom right box. 16. So I'm going to multiply those together. I have 16n squared. I need to think about what are my factors of 16n squared that add up to be negative 8n. negative 4n, and negative 4n. Notice that they're both negative. This is the one time, if both of these terms are negative, both the terms on the outside are going to be negative. You just have to remember to do that. So negative 4n, negative 4n. So my top row, what can I factor out? An n. Bottom row, a 4. Left side, I can factor out an n. Right side, I can factor out a 4. So my factors here are n minus 4 and n minus 4. I'm going to do the same thing with the denominator here. I have an n squared here and negative 8 here. Multiply those two together, I have negative 8n squared. So what are my factors of negative 8n squared that add up to be negative 2n? Negative 4n and 2n. Okay, so off the top row, I can factor out an n. Bottom row, I can factor out a 2. Left side, an n. And the right side, a negative 4. So I have n plus 2 and n minus 4. Now we are ready to find a common denominator. So what is my first term missing that my second term has? An n plus 2. So I'm going to multiply n plus 2 times the top and the bottom. What is my second term missing that my first term has? An n minus 4, because it has 2 of them. This one only has 1. So I need to multiply it by n minus 4 as well again. All right, so now our common denominator is n plus 2, n minus 4, and n minus 4 for both terms. Okay, we have two binomials in the numerators that needs to be multiplied together. So we need to FOIL those out. So n times n is n squared. N times 5 is 5n. Now we need to do the second term here. 2 times n, 2n. And 2 times 5, 10. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Do the same thing with the second one. We have negative n times n. Negative n squared. Negative n times negative 4. Negative 4n. 4 times n. Oh, that should be a positive 4. Yep. 4n, and the last one will be negative 16. All right, so to make room on my page here, I'm just going to erase this part down here. Okay, so my final answer on this, I'm going to have a denominator of n plus 2, n minus 4, n minus 4. Now, I need to combine like terms on the numerator. So n squared minus n squared. That goes away because it's a 0, right? So 5n plus 2n is 7n. Plus 4n, 11. Plus 4n is 15. And now the only ones I have left are my constants. So I have a 10 minus 16, negative 6. So that is my answer for number 31.